Good evening. Tonight we'll be doing Chapter 3, Consumer Behavior in the Marketing Management text. Consumer behavior is one of the most important topics in all of marketing, in that it helps marketing managers understand why people act the way they do when they purchase things, and that is integral and vital to any marketing process. Let's go to slide 2, figure 3.1, an overview of the buying process. The buying process is governed by social influences, marketing influences, and situational influences, as well as psychological influences. And all of these drive consumer decision making. So all decisions are governed by many different considerations and influences. Move on to slide 3, culture and subculture. Culture is one of the most basic influences on an individual's needs, wants, and behavior. Cultural values are transmitted through 3 basic organizations: family, religious organizations, educational institutions. Slide 4, social influences on consumer decision making. Marketing managers should adapt the marketing mix to cultural values, constantly monitor value changes and differences in both domestic and global markets. Subcultures arise when population loses a significant amount of its homogeneity. Subcultures are based on geographic areas, religions, nationalities, ethnic groups, and age. Slide 5, social class develops on the basis of such things as wealth, skill, and power. For marketing purposes, 4 different social classes have been identified. Upper Americans, differentiated mainly by having high incomes. Middle class, these consumers want to do the right thing and buy what is popular. Social class continued. Slide number 6, working class, people who are family folk who depend heavily on relatives for economic and emotional support. Lower Americans, as diverse in values and consumption goals as are other social levels. Reference groups and families. Slide 7. Reference groups are groups that an individual looks to when forming attitudes and opinions. Primary reference groups, family and close friends. Secondary reference groups, fraternal organizations and professional associations. Slide number 8, reference groups and families. Family is recognized to be an important reference group. The needs, income, assets, debts, and expenditure patterns change over the course of the family life cycle. Slide number 9, marketing influences of consumer decision making. Product influence, which is governed by brand name, which is very important. People are very brand centric. Quality, newness, especially with cell phones and computers. Complexity, physical appearance of the product. Packaging, so important. Packaging is the eye candy. And labeling information, especially with regards to food. Price influence, value conscious consumers buy products more on the basis of price than other attributes. Slide number 10, promotional influences or promotion influences, advertising, sales promotion, salespeople, and publicity. Price influences, products convenient to buy, products sold at exclusive outlets, products offered by non-store methods. Slide number 11, situational influences, all of the factors particular to a time and place that have a demonstrable and systematic effect on current behavior. Slide 12, situational influences on consumer decision making. Physical features such as geographical and institutional location, decor, sounds, aromas, lighting, weather, and visible configurations of merchandise or other materials. So there's a lot of things that go into the physical features of the influence. Social features, other persons present, go to a restaurant, go to a ball game, their characteristics, their apparent roles, and interpersonal reactions. Time may be specified in units ranging from time of day to season of the year. Holiday shopping. Slide 13. Task feature. An intent or requirement to select, shop for, or obtain information about a general or specific purchase. Current conditions, momentary moods such as acute anxiety, pleasantness, hostility, and excitation, or momentary conditions such as cash on hand, fatigue, and illness, rather than chronic individual traits. Slide 14, psychological influences on consumer decision making. Product knowledge, amount of information a consumer has stored in his or her memory about particular products and ways to purchase them. Group, marketing, and situational influences determine the initial level of product knowledge and changes in it. Product knowledge continues. Slide 15. Influences, how much information is sought when deciding to make a purchase, how quickly a consumer goes through the decision-making process. Slide 16. Psychological influences, product involvement, a consumer's perception of the importance or personal relevance of an item, influences consumers' decision-making in two ways. Number one, purchases for high-involvement products, such as high-end electronics, consumers are likely to develop a high degree of product knowledge. Psychological influences, product involvement, a high degree of product involvement, we're now on slide 17, encourages decision-making by consumers. Slide 18, figure 3.2, the consumer decision-making process. Need recognition, alternative search, alternative evaluation, purchase decision, and post-purchase evaluation. We spoke about high-involvement products. There's also low-involvement products, such as your daily staples, which don't require that much thinking and that much research. Slide 19, types of decision-making. Extensive decision-making requires the most time and effort, since the purchase typically involves a highly complex or expensive product that is important to the consumer. That's what we spoke about earlier with high involvement. Limited decision-making requires a moderate amount of time and effort to search for and compare alternatives. Routine decision-making involves little in the way of thinking and deliberation. Slide 20, need recognition. The recognition by the consumer of a felt need or want, either internal or external stimuli, may activate needs or wants. Slide 21, need recognition. Marketing managers must find out what needs and wants a particular product satisfies, what unsatisfied needs and wants consumers have for which a new product could be developed. Slide 22, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you look, the lowest part of the spectrum here, the lowest part of the pyramid, are your physiological needs, primary needs of the human body such as food, water, and intimacy. Safety needs, protection from physical harm, ill health, and economic disaster, and avoidance of the unexpected. And Maslow espoused that you can't go from one level to the next unless the prior level had been met. Belongingness and love needs, social and gregarious nature of humans, and the need for companionship. Esteem needs, awareness of importance to others, and actual esteem from others. Finally, self-actualization needs, desire to become everything one can become, and fully realize talents and capabilities. Basic sources for purchase decisions. Internal sources, stored information and experience a consumer has in memory for dealing with a particular need. Group sources, common source of information for purchase decisions that comes from communication with other people. Slide 24, basic sources for purchase decision. Marketing sources, advertising, salespeople, dealers, packaging, and displays offered by marketers. Basic sources for purchase decisions. Slide 25, public sources such as newspapers, articles about the product, and independent ratings of the product. Experiential sources, information a consumer gets from handling, examining, and while shopping for a product. Finally, slide 26, alternative search. Information process is viewed as a four-step process where the individual is exposed to information, becomes attentive to that information, understands the information, retains the information. 327, alternative evaluation. The consumer has information about a number of brands in a product class. It's not a one-horse show. The consumer perceives that some of the brands in the product class are viable alternatives for satisfying a recognized need. Each of these brands has a set of attributes. Slide 28, a set of these attributes is relevant to the consumer. The consumer perceives that different brands vary in how much of each attribute they possess. Consumers prefer brands that have desired attributes in desired amounts and desired order. The brand the consumer likes best is the brand that the consumer will intend to purchase. Slide 29, purchase decision. Purchase involves many decisions: product type, brand, model, dealer selection, method of payment. Consumers reduce their risk by reducing negative consequences, uncertainty. Slide 30, post-purchase evaluation. If a particular product fulfills the needs for which it was purchased, the probability is high that the product will be repurchased. The occurrence of post-decision dissonance is related to the concept of cognitive dissonance, which is basically being disappointed and not being sure after you buy something, especially indicative when somebody asks for approval. Do you like my tie? Do you like my shoes? So we now discuss cognitive dissonance, lack of harmony among a person's thoughts after the decision has been made. In other words, consumer regret. Slide 31, post-purchase evaluation continued. The occurrence of post-purchase satisfaction is related to this confirmation paradigm, which is views consumer satisfaction as the degree to which the actual performance of a product is consistent with the expectations the consumer had before the purchase. If they are, great. If not, there's cognitive dissonance. Slide 32. Marketers should not raise pre-purchase expectations to such a level that the product cannot possibly meet them. Don't overhype. It is important to create positive expectations consistent with the product's likely performance. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good evening.